Good morning. I've been inspired to just talk briefly about not don't be afraid to love deeper. You know, we get kind of stuck from in our past from hurts and disappointments, and so we create these obstacles and these walls that prevent us from the next. And normally, for most uh, it's normally, an opportunity for a deeper, more special, better connection than the one that you experienced before. And this can be many. Normally when you hear that, don't be afraid to love deeper, you're thinking, we think intimate relationships, but you can find it in learning. You create these obstacles because you had a bad experience in school. A teacher, a counselor may have told you, broke your heart, and telling you um, you're not college material, or just weirdness that people do, and shocks you in your heart. And you know um, I know a lot of people who were hurt and harmed by folks in education, teachers and stuff, and just got stuck in that place, and at one point had an absolute complete love um, affair with learning and reading and being greater. Um, and so there's that. There's, also, of course, race. You get hurt by a white man or a black man, and, you don't want to have anything else to do with that whole race ever again. And then God presents you um, with, a relationship, maybe just a friendship, a beautiful woman or man comes into your life, and it's the color of what hurt you before, and you don't want no parts. And the beauty and glory that's behind that connection, you miss out on, right? Um, There's my beautiful daughter texting me. I love her. Um, and then the other side of it is, uh, and I say that because for me, it's what brought this all about is Starbucks. Of all things, Starbucks. I'm sitting here at Starbucks and I hear, don't be afraid to love deeper. I fell in love with Starbucks, not for the coffee, not at all for the coffee. I wasn't even really a coffee drinker. At one point, wasn't a coffee drinker at all. Um, and then I started creeping in this little Starbucks, and I fell in love with the service. Um, just wonderful, wonderful people, and they were really kids. They could be they were my daughter's age, and I lived. It was right down the street, so I could even walk to it. But I would go every morning, and they'd have these big, beautiful good mornings for me, and they knew my name, and they were just beautiful, and it was somewhere where I could be beautiful back at them. So we had this relationship, and it wasn't even just the morning, because then after a while I was going to get coffee in the afternoon and the evening, just to feel the joy of the connection that we had. And they I like the sweet coffees and stuff, but it was like $6 a day. So they started doing these coffees for me where they didn't have to charge me, but it tastes like maybe a caramel macchiato. So then I had coffee and these caramel pumps, and all of this beautiful mixture that was much less. I was paying maybe $2.85 versus a $6 cup of coffee. So they were doing all of these things for me. It was also during a time for me personally where I had lost a really good friend suddenly, and then my cousin had died, And so the exchange of love and energy was just beautiful. And I remember one morning they told me, they come across the counter and hug me, and all of that, and we'd share stories. But one day they shared with me, and I don't know if I shared with them first or they shared with me, but just how special the connection was, and that for both of us, all of us, because it was a crew of kids who worked at the Starbucks, and for me, we were going through things, that there were challenges in our lives, but just seeing our one another smile, and real joy of connecting with one another, in the good mornings, like they told me, God, Jill, we just love you, you bring us so much joy. Well, it was the same, they were giving me the same in return. So it was a special place. um, there were three special, well, they all were special. They were all were special. I ran into one at the Starbucks I'm sitting in now, and that's probably why I'm reminded, because he was from the crew, and he even said we had some good times, right? And we did. We had some really good times. I got hooked on coffee because of it. But there were three of the team members who were roommates. They lived right across the street, and they also attended school together. So they had a really special connection, even amongst themselves. And I just loved them. It was a girl and two guys, and they were in their early 20s. Like I said, they could be my daughters. Um, One, actually, the girl was older than I thought. She was had been married even, but she was very youthful, very young, and young spirited, and they were really close friends. And so this is where the situation happened where I got hurt. Um, I actually had left that Starbucks for a while, stopped going there because I had moved. And I had moved my father and I had moved into another neighborhood. So it was just more convenient for me to, you know, go to the Starbucks near me. And I wasn't going as much because I had a lot going on in the community. So I hadn't seen them for several months. And I came back and things had changed. And it had been maybe about 6 months. And things had really changed. And the people were no longer there that I knew. The manager, who was wonderful and amazing, who had, had this great team, um, they were all gone. They were all gone. And I was like, what is going on? There was like one or two. And it felt, the energy felt different. I saw a couple of the customers, because that's what they drew. They drew, and that's what Starbucks does normally. You tend to go there regularly. It's normally, of course, the neighborhood coffee spot, right? And you get to know even your neighbors that you don't really, know in the neighborhood. You meet them here at the Starbucks and what have you. So it's the same folks, right? Um, so I saw a couple of the regulars sitting back in the area where they used to sit, but that energy even felt different. And as I was standing in line, one of them came up to me and he said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in forever." So we did that exchange, and then he gave me the bad news, and it broke my heart. And it broke my heart so bad I thought I'd never go to another Starbucks ever again. I certainly wasn't going to get as close as I had gotten to, the servers and the team. But the three, um, the three, how cute. The two guys and the young woman that I talked about who lived together, the roommates, they had a tragedy. And he told me that um, they had moved in, the woman had moved her brother in for temporarily, just to, he needed a place to stay. And I guess he had some really mental breakdowns, some issues, and they were they needed to get him out of the house. I mean, it was just a whole lot going on with him. And I guess this particular night, one of the gentlemen, and I won't say his name, but they were all extremely beautiful. One was a Filipino, the girl was black, and I'm not sure what the other was, but he was beautiful, tall. He could have been a model. And he was actually getting ready to move back home the next day, and he was transferring from his city college to a 4-year college, so he was moving home and packing up that night. And the brother who they had moved in there was staying there temporarily, just kind of in the living room, was just out of control. And one of the kids said, you know, man, you're gonna have to leave. You gotta go. And the guy turned around and stabbed him maybe 40 times. I mean, like, just. And the other kid was there watching the whole time. You know, couldn't stop him. Just. And I loved them. They were my kids. They were my babies. They were just, like I said, incredibly beautiful. And we had a real connection that, was passing, getting coffee. We talk, we share. Sometimes I sit there and work.